Consider me officially wowed. Mudita is a minimalist tech company. Now, if you don't know who Mudita is, they are famous for devices such as the Mudita Pure and other devices including alarm clocks, watches, and promoting a very unique way of approaching technology. The CEO and founder of Mudita is also one of the founders of CD Projekt, which is a video game company. They're famous for The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077. Now, besides that, CD Projekt also helped found GOG, or Good Old Games. So for those of you who like to play older games or want to download them, I highly recommend checking out GOG.com. Now, getting back to the ethos of Mudita, Mudita meaning joy and happiness in Buddhism, this device, the Mudita Kompakt, encompasses all of that. Now, this is my first impressions video. I will definitely do another video going more in depth of the specific aspects of each application and further technical options that you can do with this device, but this is a global overall view of my experience using the device for the past week. Now, if you haven't seen the Mudita Kompakt, it is an e-ink touchscreen device. It is not a smartphone. It is a digital minimalist device, meaning you can call, text, and that's pretty much it. There are some additional applications, of course. Now, when I received the phone, it came in an interesting packaging. That is to say, it comes with a surprise package, which happened to be some meditation cards. This is kind of the ethos of Mudita. Get off your device and experience the world. You may need to ground yourself and really connect with the world, and a good way to do this is through meditation. If you've never meditated before, these cards are super helpful and guide you through that process. You can read one card, you can read multiple cards, and they even have some instructions for you. I highly recommend checking it out. It also comes packaged in this reusable bag, and I really like the touch. When it comes to the phone itself, it has standard packaging sleeve. As you can see, you have a picture of the device on the front, and on the back, you'll see a short description, the key specifications, and of course, all of the certifications in the bottom right-hand corner. Mudita is a Polish company. This is a European phone. It is manufactured in China, but the company, the design, and everything behind it comes from the EU. Once you slide off the sleeve, you'll see a very minimalist box, and when you open it up, you'll get a letter from Mudita. Just under the letter, you'll see the device in another reusable bag. Within the box itself, you'll have a user guide, as well as a charging cord and a SIM tool. Now, when it comes to the device itself, when you slip it out of the package, you'll see that you have a brief description of all of the buttons on the device, so that way you can easily navigate. To be honest, this device is super easy to use. I would highly recommend it for people who want to simplify their life, but also maybe those of you who have older individuals or people who may be suffering from conditions that makes it difficult to use a traditional smartphone. In hand, the device feels very sturdy. I had a little bit of doubt when I saw that the components would be coated in a rubberized plastic, but it does make the device very grippy and very durable. The device does have weight to it as well, and it feels nice with the rounded corners. It feels comfortable in the hands, and it also makes it easy to slip into pockets. And this is one of the major pluses of this phone in general. It is compact. It does fit in pockets, and especially women's jeans. This is a problem we've had for the past 15 years or so. It's impossible to put your phone in your pocket. Now here's a device where you can finally put it in your pocket. The device itself has a 4.3-inch display, and this is an e-ink display. Now it's important to note that e-ink is a proprietary name. There are generic versions of e-ink called e-paper devices, but this is an authentic e-ink display, and when you turn on the device, you can feel that. Now, turning on the device, you'll be prompted to go through the setup process, which is creating a login code as well as setting up your fingerprint reader. Now, the one complaint I had is that the code is quite long. It is 6 numbers. I know this is more secure, but I would have preferred to have 4 just for convenience sake. But in the end, the fingerprint reader works so well that I rarely had to use the code for the past week. Once the device is booted up, you're brought to the home screen where you have very minimal information, but the information that you need, such as the time, date, and the essential apps such as calling, texting, and your app drawer. At the bottom, you'll have physical navigation keys to go back to home and bring up the control center. Within the control center, you'll see different modifications, how to change the brightness, control the sound, and access your settings menu. From the settings menu, you can go through and make any modifications as needed. You can activate or deactivate apps. I chose to deactivate a few to bring all of my apps onto one screen in the app drawer. Now, speaking of apps, by default, you'll see that you have 13 apps installed, and you can see that you have mostly those apps that you will need offline, such as notes, alarm clock, a calendar, and even a meditation app, as well as one game, chess. I found that I didn't play chess very much, and I'm somebody who gets frustrated when I play chess, so it's not a game I could lose a lot of time in. It's fine to pass time in some very boring situations, but honestly, this device has taught me to really be in the moment, really listen to things around me, observe the world around me, and chess is not one of those things I want to escape to. Now, speaking of the device itself, it's super responsive. Honestly, I forget that I'm using an e-ink display. I use many e-ink devices in my day-to-day life. I am visually impaired, and e-ink is much easier on the eyes. The one thing I was worried about with this device was the inability to switch to dark mode, but honestly, the default mode for the e-ink display has worked perfectly. I have not had any eye strain, and again, since I'm not using this device for hours on hand, I don't feel the need to have to change the background color or the text color in order to soothe my eye strain. Speaking of easy to see, this device is fantastic in direct sunlight. I've gone out a few times in direct sunlight, and comparing it to other people around me who had a standard smartphone, mine was the only one that was readable. This came in handy when I needed to use some offline maps, or when I wanted to look up specific messages, make phone calls, and just be able to access the things I needed even in direct sunlight. Even though the device is quite quick and snappy, the one place you do feel that it's an e-ink display, of course, is in the camera application. Within the camera application itself, you will see some lagging or refreshing because this is dynamic content. This is common across all e-ink devices, and this device is no exception. Even though when I was taking pictures, I couldn't really tell if I was in focus or if the image was going to look correct or not, because you can't really see the color, you can't see the focus as crisply on the device, and you won't be able to see the full effect of the photo until you upload it onto your computer. All in all, I think the photos are not bad. It does give a vintage feel to it. The camera is 8 megapixels. I find that the images are clear enough. They do have a certain style to them. If you're somebody who is a content creator and you want to be a little bit more indie with your photos, this would be very Instagrammable. But if you're looking to have something super accurate, something that you're going to edit and use for professional purposes, this might not be the device for you, but it gets more than enough done. If you're somebody like me who likes to take photos for reference, for where you're parking your car, or a specific notification on a building, this is something that has come in handy, and it's nice just to have a camera on hand. It's also nice not having a selfie camera. I know a lot of devices we look to have front and back facing cameras, but the front facing camera can be quite distracting, or you try to focus on yourself a little bit more. And I think taking that feature away has been refreshing, especially as a content creator. And it's just a different approach, and I kind of like it. My overall first impressions of using this device has been great. There are some definite pluses of using this device, and first and the most important is the battery life. Now on the website, they say you can get up to 6 days. Well, with my usage, I got even more than that. To be honest, after 1 week of using the device, I ended the week on about 36% battery left. How did I do this? I was making calls every day, I was taking photos every day, I was listening to music, I was using my device, but the Mudita Kompakt has a feature called Offline Plus. If you're not familiar with their Offline Plus feature, this will turn off any radio activity, cameras, microphones, Bluetooth, anything that could possibly connect to a source, turns it off. This is different from airplane mode. Airplane mode just turns off your network and not everything else included. So not only is offline mode great on the battery life, it's great for your privacy. If you really need to disconnect from everything, you can switch on the left-hand side and Offline Plus is activated. It's fantastic. It's stronger than any do not disturb or any airplane mode, and I really enjoy this feature, and I think this helped me extend my battery life a bit more. I find myself turning on my phone in the morning after 9 a.m. because I want to wake up and experience the day before turning on any mobile devices. I turn on the Offline Plus mode at the end of the day, probably around 8 p.m. to really disconnect and enjoy my evening without any connected devices. This has really helped from a digital minimalist perspective, and again, it's also helped my battery life. I'm pretty sure if I just didn't charge it or connect it to anything, I could probably get almost a week and a half on this device easily. A major plus of the device is having an audio headphone jack. I don't realize how much I love this feature until I don't have it and I have it again. I have multiple phones with this feature and multiple phones without, but every time I find that I have a device with a headphone jack, I just use it. I like it. Of course, there's Bluetooth, so if you want to use your Bluetooth headphones, you can without issue. But the physical audio jack helps me make a conscious decision that I'm going to listen to music. Now, speaking of the music app itself, you can insert a micro SD card so you can add your full music library, of course. You can use the internal memory as well if you're using Mudita Center, which allows you to connect to your phone, access any files. You can completely manage your phone via the Mudita Center on your computer. Now, I went the whole week without using the Mudita Center, and honestly, I didn't feel that I needed it for my use case. But if you're somebody who really wants to modify and add things to your device manually through your computer, I highly recommend it. Now, a feature that I have positive feelings about and not so positive feelings about is the Maps feature. Now, I want to preface this that I am using a test unit. There will be updates before the final product goes out, and I'm sure those updates will include this specific feature and maybe changes to the feature. Now, the Maps is a great tool because it allows you to download maps and use them offline. This is perfect for people who are off the grid, don't have cell connection everywhere, want to save their data on their data plan. This is an excellent feature and I really like this feature. The only thing for me is that my GPS wasn't connecting when I was using data and I couldn't get turn-by-turn directions at that moment. I was still able to access the maps, of course, read the maps, I could zoom in and find where I needed to go. But I think if this wasn't a testing unit and those updates came out, the feature probably will work much better, of course, if the GPS would track. As far as calls and texts are concerned, the call quality was fantastic. I had no issues with drop calls, the call sound quality was very good, and honestly, I like the ringtones on the device. They're super relaxing, they're not jolting, they're very chill. I really like the sounds that are included with the device. Same goes for the text messaging. Now, I do like the sounds of the text messaging. I like the feeling of typing on the screen. You do have a vibration feedback as an option, of course, when you're typing. This is good for me because I visually can't see very well. So if I can feel that I'm typing certain things and then I can eventually see on the screen, this is super helpful. Also, there's not much refresh or any refresh when you're typing. Again, I don't realize that I'm using an e-ink display most of the time. I only feel it when I'm using the camera. If there were some optional updates in the future, I would like the option to use multiple languages and switch those languages on my keyboard. As somebody who types often in English but also in French, that feature would be much appreciated. The Mudita Kompakt is usable in 8 languages, the ones displayed here. And honestly, I have no qualms. I haven't had issues with mistyped words or things like this. And it's been a fantastic experience using the Notes app, for example. Another app I tested out this week was the alarm. I haven't used my phone as an alarm in a long time, but I was having trouble waking up with the time change, and having another device as a backup has been a lifesaver. Again, the sounds included on the device are relaxing, but the alarm works quite effectively. I didn't have, again, any issues with the clock updating or keeping the right time after the time change. Everything worked flawlessly. Now, as far as the device on what operating system it's using, the most important for me is that it is a degoogled operating system. Google will not be taking your information or data. This device is super private. It is running its own proprietary Mudita OS K. So I'm sure the K stands for compact. And honestly, it works fantastic. There are options to sideload apps, of course, so that is a plus. But Mudita really wants people to use the device as intended. I know for myself, I haven't sideloaded anything this week. I've used the device as it is designed, and honestly, it's had a huge positive impact on my life. I don't say this very lightly. I'm somebody who tests a lot of devices. I've tested minimalist devices, dumb phones, old phones, and I find this is the one device that it can actually stick to. And I'm happy to just set it and forget it, put it in my pocket, and use it as a tool. I don't use it for distractions. I don't use it when I have anxiety. And honestly, I've been using it less and less each day, and that's my dream as a digital minimalist. I don't want to rely on my phone or any technology 24/7. I just want it to be used as a phone, to be honest. And that's been a refreshing experience. I haven't been able to have this relationship with a phone specifically in a long time, probably since the early 2000s, if I'm being honest. I've taken the Kompakt out and about, and I've shown it to a bunch of different people. Of course, most people don't know who Mudita is, and of course have never heard of the Kompakt, so it was nice to get an opinion from people outside of the digital minimalism sphere. One of the biggest commentaries that I had is that the display looks amazing. Most people know what e-ink looks like, and they have a reference such as an e-reader or a Kindle, for example, and most people hate typing on those devices. But when I showed this device, especially to older people, they were very interested. I also showed it to a lot of visually impaired and even blind users. Unfortunately, there are not enough accessibility features to use a screen reader, so some people had mentioned that they would like to see more accessibility features offered in the device. I myself have low vision, and I'm able to use the device quite easily, but I do understand some others may not be able to use the device the same way as I am. I think this would be an excellent device for, again, somebody who is older and doesn't want a complicated device, wants something easier on their eyes. And it could also be great for somebody younger looking for their first device. It is so unique, so fun, and honestly, what a way to stand out in a good way. I really like the ethos of Mudita, and this device, my first device I'm using by Mudita, has really blown me away. Again, this is my first impressions. I've only been using the device for a full week, and I will continue using it throughout the month, and I will have a longer video going into more technical aspects of the device and some things that I may discover further along. If you're somebody who's interested in the Kompakt and hasn't already jumped on the pre-order train, they are still running pre-orders, but they will run out soon. If you find that you would like another Mudita product that is not the Kompakt, I also have a discount code below for 15% off if you'd like to use it. If you want to see more aspects regarding the device, leave some comments down below and I'll be sure to test them out. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.